Ever wonder how some financial services and fintech leaders learned about money when they were kids? Well, we've asked them 4 important questions to get their answers, and you definitely will want to hear them. Join me today as we hear from Sam Hunter, Head of Multicultural Markets at Osaic. Hey everyone, Mac Gardner here, author of Motivate Your Money and the global best-selling children's book, The 4 Money Bears. I am joined today by the one, the only, Sam Hunter, Head of Multicultural Markets with Osaic. Sam, how are you, ma'am?
I'm great. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing quite well. Hey, look, for the folks who don't know who you are, if you take a few minutes and just tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, and your role in the industry.
Thank you very much. Committed financial services professional, 20 years. Currently working for Osaic Wealth Management and Multicultural Markets, specializing in just advisor inclusion and equity, and always advisor growth, because growing advisors are happy advisors.
Amen to that, sister. So the topic of today, Sam, is really going to be something that I know is near and dear to your heart. We've known each other for years. We follow each other's journeys, what we're trying to do for the wealth management industry. I am extremely passionate about getting more diversity, more equity, more inclusion, just more people in our business, because I think a business that deals with money, the advisory force should look a little bit like the society that we work to serve. And one of the things we'll be talking about today really is, as you know, we're rolling out a new game, the 4 Money Bears Berryville financial education game. Thank you very much. And the real issue that I believe is the lack of financial education in our society. So we're working to gamify that process, make it fun, make it available and open for people of all ages, but preferably starting it early. And so today we're talking about your experiences learning about money. So you ready for the first question?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. So Sam Hunter, what is your earliest memory of money education?
My dad took my sister, myself, and my cousin on a road trip to Disney World. We drove from Georgetown, South Carolina, all the way to Orlando, Florida. And at every gas station stop, he gave us each $5. Now, he didn't tell us. He didn't preempt. He didn't explain. We just got out the car. He gave us each $5. We were free to do with it what we wish. When we arrived in Orlando, my sister had the most money. My sister had like $15. My cousin had like a little under 10. I had like $3 and some change. Okay, because I was getting all the snacks. You're not going to control what I buy, so I'm getting M&Ms, I'm getting Doritos, I'm
You
getting
need to
all
feed the engine for the ride, for sure.
right. And when we get to Orlando, he says, "Okay, we're going to do the same thing on the way back." So he gives us a little hint. So we spend the week in Orlando. We do all the things. My cousin ended up spending her $9 and change buying something in Orlando. My sister spent none of her money, and I only had $3. It wasn't much you could buy with $3. I might have spent $1 on something. So we get back in the minivan. We head back to South Carolina, and we do the same thing. My sister, again, does not spend a dime. So we get back, and this little girl has like $30.
She's a saver bear.
She's a saver bear, right? And my dad goes, "Now I'm going to double what you have."
Wow.
So she finishes the game with $60. She saves half of it in her little piggy bank, and then she goes to the bookstore. She was an avid reader. My sister could read for hours. And she buys all these books that she wanted. My cousin ended up I think she gave some of the money to her mom. That's just the relationship they had. And I, of course, was mad because I didn't save more.
He had $1. Said, "Okay, double me up, pops."
And I think I ended up using my little bit of money to buy like some cups to sell lemonade, because I wanted to make what my sister had made. So that is my first memory of really saving money, like and understanding the power, the value, and if you have a lot of it, if you accumulate it, you can do more with it.
You could do more with it. Your money can work harder for you than you can ever work for your money. So what I am enjoying about this interview process, Sam, is how when you ask people what their first memory is, how visible, how entrenched it is. And you were young. I mean, you were single digits, right?
Yeah,
And
I was
that
like
was your sort
9.
of first engagement with money, and it stayed with you throughout your life, and it hopefully taught you something, right? About, hey, you know what? These options here maybe weren't the best. I can see someone else do. So then that leads me into the second question. What did money represent in your household when you were young?
Now that lesson came from my mother. Because my dad was the breadwinner. He went out and got the bag. And my mother's job was to distribute the bag.
Said bag, yes.
Yes, said bag. So, she was on us constantly about turning off the lights, not running the water, da-da-da-da-da. And I remember having a friend in elementary school who got new shoes. Like, she seemed to get new shoes every month. And I was obsessed. I'm like, I want new shoes like... We'll say Sarah. We'll say Jessica. It doesn't matter the name. And my mom goes, get in the car. One day she got tired of me complaining about not having new shoes. We were the family that got new shoes once a year. You got new shoes for back to school. We're lucky if you got new shoes for like Christmas.
Maybe, yeah, holiday time.
Maybe a holiday, maybe even a birthday. But my parents weren't big, we didn't do big birthdays. Like, they had 3 kids. They were also, like, supplementing the lifestyles of a couple of cousins who lived nearby. So we didn't do big birthdays. But one day she got sick of me complaining about not having new shoes and talking about this particular classmate who always seemed to have new shoes. She said, get in the car. So me, my sister, and my cousin, who was living with us at the time, get in the car, the minivan. We drive to the other side of town. And she goes, you see that house right there? You see that trailer right there? That's where Christina lives. That's where Sarah lives. That's where Jessica lives. Fill in the name. And she's like, you want new shoes or you want to live in the house that you live in? Message received.
Yeah,
yes, like she didn't need to say anything else.
10-4, loud and clear.
We never talked about it. I was turning off lights behind other people. You know what I mean? It was really clear. Like, you get your own room, you have your own space. Yes. You might not be wearing, at the time, I think the hot jeans and sneakers were like Levi's and
BKs or some Z Cavariccis. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Now you date yourself. Now you date
yourself. I did. I'm not gonna lie, I did.
But it was BKs. Those were exactly the shoes. BK diamond sales. See, people don't even remember.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with those shoes, and I wanted those shoes, and I think I don't even know what kind of shoes I had. We bought everything from Walmart and JCPenney, and Sears. That's where my parents shopped. But that was the lesson, and she didn't need to say anything else. Yeah. And as I grew up, that stuck with me, and it showed me the value.
And I think that's the big thing when you ask people, what did money symbolize in your home when you were young? We always talk about the scarcity mindset versus, a supplement or surplus mindset and how that stays with us. But I think bigger than that is, what value do you put into what money can provide you? You see what I'm saying? It's like, look, money can get you lots of things. It can either get you a very nice home that water's running, lights are on, all that good stuff, or it could get you maybe not the best living situation, but maybe a desire to want to look a certain way and maybe keep up with the Joneses. And that's something I think that's really, that I get from that story of yours is, where do you value things? Because your money will get you. What does someone say? You want me to show you your value system? Show me your checkbook. Show me the receipts of the things you spend money on. Show me that balance. Show me your ledgers, and I'll show you exactly what you value. So
that's right.
You ready for the next question?
I am.
Here we go. Question 3. You work in a system that your role is to try to get more people into this business. I believe one of the best ways is to start capturing students when they're in college, to let them know how great of a career path it can be in the financial services industry, how broad it can be. How do you think we should be educating young people when it comes to managing money, financial education?
First of all, we have to talk about it.
Yeah.
We don't talk about the actual money. You know, we show folks, if you go on Instagram, anybody's Instagram feed, you can see what money has purchased.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about how they got that money, how they saved, how they, you know what I mean? We don't talk about that process to
They
get
see the
to
fruits,
that.
but not the roots.
Right. They see the fruits, but not the roots. So we have to talk about that.
Yeah.
And then we have to talk about what it is you're willing to do, right? Because people don't again, you see the fruits, but you don't ever see the farmer planting the seed. You don't see him coming out every morning and watering it. You don't see him pulling the weeds. You just see the tree fully grown and him eating the fruit underneath it. And there's a process.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot to be learned there. So you have to talk about it. Yeah, you see me pull up at the meeting in the Porsche, but you don't know the first job I had. You don't know what I did with the money I earned at that job. You don't know that I worked my way through college. Like, you don't know those steps and that process, and that's what we need to talk about. Everybody doesn't start at the top.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone does start at the top, and I think that conversation aspect of it stems really, really deep, because money to this day is still, no matter black, white, Hispanic, Asian, there's some cultural differences, yeah, but I think for the most part, money is just one of those topics that's just not talked about.
Right.
Or it's not talked about freely and comfortably. And so I agree with you 100% that having the conversation is one of the first things we need to do with our young people, is saying, hey, this isn't just money. This is how we make the money. This is how it got earned. And that's what we really love about the game we're developing is we're looking at both sides of the money fence. One side is, okay, how do you make the money? Which is why the player is going to be able to run a berry store and make pies and all that stuff. So you're going to be running a shop, but then you're also going to be getting little quizzes and quests on the other side once you've earned the money to say, okay, now that you've got it, now that you've got this loan that you have to take out in order to start your business up, how are you making those payments? What are you doing with that? So I think conversation is good, and gamifying it, making it fun so that the conversation is happening between the parent and the child
Oh, I love
in an
it.
easy way. I think that's going to be super cool. So, all right, last question. Ready for it?
Maybe.
Here we go. Again, you've been in the business for some time, so I'm really looking forward to the answer to this. Please, Sam, if you could share the best advice you've been given when it comes to money. It could be more than one. I've had folks say, like, Matt, can I give you two? Maybe three. I'm like, yeah.
No, it's just one, and it's real simple. Spend less than you earn.
Yeah.
That's the best advice. You have to manage that, because I don't think, particularly in the Black community, I don't think there's a problem with getting the money. I think we have a problem with spending the money. But I think people in general have, there's this desire. I want that. Like you said, keep it up with the Joneses earlier, right? I want that house. I want that car. But can you realistically afford it? And do you need it? Do you have a car that can get you from A to B?
Like, why do you want it?
Yes. See, that's the therapy session that we don't have time for.
No, we don't. Whole other topic.
Another conversation.
Another pocket
Why
conversation.
do you want that?
Yeah. Well, it's wild that you say that. I believe that there's steps to everything, right? Maslow's levels of financial needs, and so you earn it, and then you spend it, but if you can't get to investing if you're not saving.
Right. That's right.
Saving is that really important bridge in between having it and investing it, and then making the money work harder for you. And I'm glad that we're living in a society, though, saying honestly, that there is technology that allows a lot of this stuff to be done easily and easier. I always say there's technology to help you, with your banking, with your investing, with your lending, with your insurance. But there's not enough technology out there that helps when it comes to teaching people what to do with money. And so that's the mark we're trying to.
Well, you're solving
make.
for it. You're solving for it right now.
We're working hard, man,
Yeah.
and having support from folks like you is really, really important. So, Sam, as we close this interview, anything that you'd like to share with us as we close and we wrap this up?
No, nothing other than, nobody gets it easy, right? Everybody has to work for it. Some people may have more of it than others, but what you do with what you have is what is most important.
Amen. Sam, again, thank you so much for the time. As I like to say, the journey continues. Take care. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you'll join us for our next engaging episode. Be sure to follow us on LinkedIn and visit www.theformoneybears.com.